Howdy, all of you delicious people. I'm here today to review Superman and Lois, episode 10. So, this episode I would describe as at least it was better than last week's. At least this episode was a little bit better than last week's. But even with that, this episode is dialogue heavy. So, more than likely, this is probably going to be a quick review for me. But this review was dialogue heavy, but the story seemed very unoriginal. This story was just desperate to copy and paste over something that had already existed. Plus, it feels like a blatant, we can't do this, so we have to do this. And I thought that this episode was dumb. I thought that the writing of it was just dumb. A lot of it was just dialogue just to get to a point that felt different or felt like, ooh, this might be interesting dialogue. No, it wasn't. I didn't care. I lost interest. I was like, while the episode that I was watching was going on, I was like, hey, is there something on my phone that I could be doing right now? Is there something that I could Google search right now? Could I see if there's some other things that are popular on YouTube to go ahead and check out? Or, let me go and randomly search a movie to see if people have any interest in it. And then I'll just kind of background noise with this episode, because oh boy, this show, what happened after the Henry Irons episode? What happened to the show? It kind of made this shift in just being like, yeah, hey, we're gonna try to put something together that really feels unique to the show, and once it gets revealed, people are like, oh wow, and then this stuff past the 2 episodes that we were forced to deal with. Oh my god, if Sarah was going to do yet another talent show song in this episode, I would have lost my mind. But luckily, she has a story in this episode, because, good God, do they have to keep trying to figure out how to fit Sarah into these episodes. As well as, in this episode, they're trying to more focus on the Cushing family, or really just Kyle and Sarah, and also Lana has something going on, but we'll kind of there's an asterisk on that one. Because Lana, yeah, but not really. And there'll be an asterisk on that, because I'll talk about that in spoilers. So Morgan Edge has something important to do, because this guy was just Moneybags guy. But now we seem to have Morgan Edge, who's supposed to have a important thing going on in this episode, and I don't care. I'm like, dude, this character has been built as I don't care about this guy for 9 episodes, and now you're telling me that I'm forced to care about this character now, and I still don't. Give him a much more thorough backstory. I don't care. I still don't care. This is there's some interesting things to do with Superman's backstory for this episode, but it's a better episode than last week. That's all I have. There's nothing to just it feels like I'm more upset than I might have been last week, or it just kind of feels that I'm just at a point where I'm man, I'm disappointed in this show. I'm just so disappointed right now. I'm like, God, they're just scraping at the bottom of the barrel for anything now. And I think I probably even kind of rationalized that, like during the John Henry Iron story, where I'm like, man, they're like scraping at the bottom of the barrel to try to come up with something unique for this. But like at least that John Henry Iron stuff was good enough. Like it was a good selling thing to just be like, hey, alternate Superman from Dark Superman from another world. It's not Bizarro, but hey, like I'll take it. But now they stray away from that, and now they give us this story where I'm like, huh? Like, you built up Dark Superman, but you have this guy? You have Morgan Edge, who all of a sudden has an important role to play in this episode, and you barely, like, show him here and there, but now he just has to desperately be important? Whatever. Alright, so I think it's about time to get into that double 5-time territory. Yeah, like better than last week, but overall it's not a show that seems to like have me go, man, I can't wait till next Wednesday. If anything, I'm just gonna be dipping my head into the phone and just like, uh, okay. Like, I'm losing interest in this show. And hopefully, some people might feel differently. Some people might feel way better about this show. Some people might love every single episode. Some people may hate every single episode and like the fact that I've gone from liking this show to now just being like, it's on. It's on this week. So let's get into that spoiler territory of this week's episode. So yeah, let's get into that coveted double 5-time territory because it is spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time I'm going to spoil this episode. So we kind of get right back to business from where we left off of the last episode. So we find out Morgan Edge is not exactly a General Zod after all, but basically he's doing the exact same story of Smallville Season 9. One whole entire episode to be smashed together of Smallville Season 9 in one episode. Because they just kept alluding to it, and then eventually they like started to pop up these sleeper agent Kryptonians. But yeah, it's just to lead us to this quick wrap-up thing in this one episode. So we find Morgan Edge is actually a man called Tal-Rho. It seems that Superman's mother had been just sleeping around with a bunch of Kryptonians, and she ended up popping out a baby. That's not true. So, Superman's mother went and had a relationship with another man that didn't work out. She left him to go to Jor-El, and that worked out. They had a child. And then Kal-El was sent off to Earth for everyone to die, sadly enough. So, Tal-Rho is to tell us that he is actually the brother of Superman. And I'm like, wow, this is so lazy. I heard the word brother from last week's episode, and I'm like, well, maybe that just means brother, meaning like Kryptonian. Like he's a Kryptonian, I'm a Kryptonian, so technically, like we're all brothers and sisters of the same race. But no, he means brother biologically. He's the brother from another father. That's who Kal-El is. So we find Morgan Edge is Tal-Rho, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, how about you and me team up? And like, I will just transform every human into Kryptonians, and we'll give this a go. Like, we'll give world domination a go if that's fine with you." And Superman is like, no, like that's wrong. Like, yeah, it's great to have a brother and all, but Tal-Rho is to boo-hoo cry about how he had gotten to Earth, and when he had arrived on Earth, we had people who had shot and tried to kill Tal-Rho coming right out of the gate, or right out of his flying to this planet. It seems like there had been people that were trying to kill and shoot him, and so boo hoo for Tal-Rho, because we're supposed to feel sympathetic about this person who is to become a villain, and give us this maleficent story of why you should, like, well, like, feel sorry for me because once I got here, like, Kal-El was accepted, but I wasn't. Who cares? So what? You're supposed to be the villain. So what? You're supposed to have a bad time at Earth. Sour grapes. Tal-Rho eventually continues to embark us on his story where eventually he was to be taken and experimented on and all kinds of garbage. And when he was to try and leave the place where he had been held captive, eventually he had gone and heat visioned everybody and killed them off to make them remember and fear Tal-Rho or just Kryptonians. So, boo-hoo violins for him. So, Superman goes off and leaves Tal-Rho with a big old nope. I'm not going to want to, like, I'm not going to want to team up with you, buddy. But Tal-Rho is like, well, think about this, Kal-El. If anything, this machine that I have brought Kryptonians back to life, think of it this way. We can bring back our mother, and we can, like you can see her again. You can talk to her. Or you can, yeah, you can see her because evidently only Jor-El was the only thing to be able to be in the Fortress of Solitude and have his spirit be in the Fortress of Solitude, because uh, it seems that Kal-El only got the crystal of his father and not the crystal of his mother. Okay, so Clark has to process all of this, that like his mother is coming back, uh, or could come back for a farewell tour. Clark goes to Lois and Jordan Jonathan is to tell them what is going on, and is kind of having this kind of like back and forth of like, but he can bring back my mother. Like, hey, like, wouldn't it be great to see my mother and tell her my life story, and show her like what all I've been able to accomplish while on Earth. So we also have Jonathan and Jordan like having this conundrum as well of like, well, hey, like, think of it, man. Like, what if Dad does turn evil because, hey, like, the Dark Superman on the other world, all he needed to do was find other Kryptonians, and he just decided to just rule the world. What if just having Dad going and finding his brother to kind of just persuade him into turning evil and have a lot of other Kryptonians at his side make him want to realize, well, like, blood is thicker than water of Kryptonian blood. So, like, I'm just going to wipe out everybody. Like, Jordan and Jonathan are having that kind of debate between one another. But, like, Lois is like, well, no. Like, if anything, like Clark did not have the same experience as Tal Rowe when he got here, and Clark has been loved and knows that he like Clark is like Team Earth for realsies. So we have Clark eventually going to the Fortress of Solitude, talking to his father and asking him, well, like, Dad, like, why didn't you like the spirit of his father? Uh, Clark is asking his father, well, why didn't you tell me this story that my brother is still alive or here or whatever? Jor-El mentions that that wasn't his story to tell because actually it was his mother's story to tell because his mother had spurned this child. And why was Jor-El to say anything about this story? So Clark is to ask his father, well, here's also the thing, like, I need to figure out how to take down this machine to have them stop creating all kinds of other Kryptonians into the spirit of these people. Because we eventually have Kyle Cushing, who is to uh, come home, of course, not knowing what he had done, and eventually Kyle is to come back to again try and stop things, basically by grabbing Lana and grabbing Lois, trying to stop things, and he is to be taken down, and he is to be put into this locked glass cage where he is to be held and interrogated. And it seems that this Kryptonian has had a drastic change in amount of control. So this Kryptonian is to tell anybody that Kyle is basically gone. Like, Kyle is basically dead, and this Kryptonian is taking over. Jonathan and Jordan go to Sarah to tell her the truth about what is going on and what had happened. So Sarah is to go along with Jordan and Jonathan to go to this military location to have Sarah try and talk to her father to try to see if they could work things out and try to have Kyle get control back from this Kryptonian. So Sarah goes on to talk to her father, and the Kryptonian inside of Kyle is telling Sarah, like, dude, your father is dead. Like, there is no way you're going to try to sway me into anything. Like, just because you were my daughter on this planet means nothing to me. And blah, blah, blah. All dialogue that I'm paraphrasing and whatever. So Sarah is to run off all boo-hoo who? My dad could possibly be dead, but he's Kryptonian at least. He's gonna have superpowers, isn't that thumbs up style? So we we see that Jonathan is talking to Jordan. Jonathan is telling Jordan, well, hey, you know what? Like, I think this is a really good time for you to go to Sarah and try to comfort her right now. Like, I think she really needs some sweet, delicious comforting from you, Jordan, with this whole situation. So Jordan goes to talk to Sarah, and Sarah is like, wow, like, so is this the reason why, like, you were gone the night before, at the whole, like, recital thing, or at the whole, talent show thing? And Jordan was like, yeah, that's why. Like, and also, I had a sneeze power that had ice. You want to see? It's still there. So, it wasn't, but it's a joke. So Jordan is like, yeah, like that was the reason why I was gone because I had to I had to handle this issue and I couldn't tell people. So yeah, like that's the reason why I was gone. And Sarah's like, oh well, I gave you so much crap about it, and I feel so bad now. And Jordan's like, yeah, yeah. Plus, also, I have superpowers, Sarah. What? No. That's not what happens at all, but I wish it would have been, because at least finally Sarah would have known. And so, like, we don't have to play, like, really, like, we're doing the whole, like, Jordan and Sarah thing, like, Clark and Lana all over again. I think that's exactly where that story is going to head, where it's going to be the will they, the won't they, the will they, the won't they. Like, we're going to have, like, eventually Sarah, who just feels utterly betrayed by Jordan, and then eventually she goes out of her way to try to figure out his secret, and then she dies shortly thereafter that, probably, in Jordan's arms, for him to be like, no! Anyways, it'll happen sometime soon in theaters near you. So Clark and his adventures. Let's go back to that. So Clark is to have to so Sam Lane goes and seizes the device that Morgan Edge is to have to create these Kryptonians inside people. So they now have this machine in the military's tent. So Clark and Sam Lane, Lois Lane, and Lois Lane and Lana Lang are Lana Cushing. I keep wanting to say Lana Lane. I don't care. It's either way you want to slice and dice it. That couple is probably going to get divorced anyways, because really, like, Sarah was talking to Lana about, like, dude, you should just, like, you didn't exactly, like, throw him out, but I think that's where, like, you should be heading with this guy. And like, we have Lana and Sarah who have an argument, ha blah 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 blah, waste of time dialogue, just trying to get more things out there of Lana and Sarah having lines in this show because they didn't have enough anywhere else. So group of people all decide, who are all trying to decide, well, who exactly should we have be my mother? Clark is to say, because it seems that Clark's mother is the only person who is to, or Clark is Superman at this point. So Superman is to mention, well, who is going to be my mother? My mother is the only solution for us to try and figure out how to stop all these Kryptonians from taking over Earth. So Lana immediately volunteers to be this vessel for Superman's mother. So really they're like, well, I guess. So Superman has to go and talk to Lana, basically telling her that like she's the hero right now and like he's thanking her for what she's doing. And so Lana goes in and is to be Superman's mother. So we have Superman who's like, oh, great, now I have a mother that I can talk to. Well, I want to tell her that I have two sons and that I have Lois and things are working well for me. And you know what? I would have assumed or assessed that, like, Superman's mother would have just been like, I don't believe that you're, like, my son. I don't think that you're Kal-El. I don't trust that you're Kal-El. No, 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 no. Kal-El would never have worn those colors. Kal-El would have never done this. Kal-El would have never done that. He would have never had kids. That's the Kal-El that I thought that he was gonna come to be. But no, like we have Kal-El's mother who's like, oh, please tell me more about your whole entire life story so that way we can just bide more time for this episode. So Kal-El's mother is to go on and touch this machine that she is to concoct to have this be the weapon to go against these sleeper kryptonite people. And so Morgan Edge is talking to Leslie, and Morgan Edge is like, hey, like we like have to get our numbers together, because really like Kal-El is not joining our side. So Morgan Edge is getting all the Kryptonians like awake and all flying off to all combine to all go against Kal-El. So Kal-El flies up with this device to shoot his heat vision into this device, while all the other Kryptonians are all shooting their heat vision into this device. And Superman is to mention that he's going to exert all of his energy to power up this device to transform everyone back into their normal selves. So Kal-El lasers and these Kryptonians laser, and so there's this big blast that is to go off to change everybody back into who they were. So Sarah is to go back into this bunker to talk to her father and touch the glass with their hands. I'm like, Dad! And it's like, daughter. Dad-daughter conversation. Just having that touching glass moment together. So, Kal-El is to kind of wipe all these Kryptonians out, making them back to human again. They fall onto the ground, and everybody wakes up and they're like, why am I here? Morgan Edge is to see what Kal is to do, so he flies away to go back with Leslie and to come up with a plan B, because plan A didn't work out. So Clark is to make his way back to the Fortress of Solitude with this device, and he is to like struggle to make it back in there, and then he just falls over and just can't make it back into the fortress. And so that's where we are to basically, I think just kind of wrap it up for this episode. Really, just a lot of yibbity yah dialogue. There's some stuff that I probably rushed through and try to get done quickly. I honestly thought that this review would have gotten done a lot quicker, but I guess I was wrong. So, with that said, I think I am going to get out of here. If there's anything I missed, I do apologize, but really, there's a bunch of dialogue in here. It's really just like. It was a lot of dialogue. I was disinterested, but like at least like it had some action in it to keep you kind of interested enough. So with that said, I'm gonna get out of here. Bye everybody. Bye everybody.